Very crazy video, did not expect to make. Got home today, and the United States is basically falling apart at the seams, and I'm not necessarily sure what really built up to this entire event yet, but you have almost guaranteed seen this on the news. It has become absolute global headline news at this point. There's constant updates coming from it, there's live streams, videos, photos. The United States Capitol building has been breached by pro-Trump supporters who were rallying in Washington, D.C. in what's being called a protest against Congress as they were certifying the Electoral College results that would certify the Biden presidency win. This is all coming just days before the presidential transition was set to happen on January 20th with the inauguration of Joe Biden as President of the United States and the removal of Donald Trump, who is currently President of the United States, on that date. An absolute catastrophic situation, to say the least, has unfolded in Washington, D.C., and one of the world's most important spots. So, as of right now, this is a fast unfolding situation. I'm only reporting the information that has become public at this point in time. I'm going to be showing video clips and photos and whatnot that kind of help build up the story around this situation. So I kind of want to do this chronologically. Today, Congress was set to meet to count the electoral votes. If you don't know what the Electoral College is, basically it's like a count of the representative votes and stuff tied into the election and stuff for presidency. Whoever wins the most electoral votes, you need to get a 270 threshold to win. Whoever gets the most electoral votes wins the presidency. Well, the Congress was set to meet and count the electoral votes and everything, and it was pretty much guaranteed that today Joe Biden would be certified with this to become the next president of the United States. But due to this vote, Trump supporters have basically staged what was initially called a protest but can really only now be considered madness. Pro-Trump supporters were seen flying Confederate flags, Trump flags, American flags, displaying banners. They even climbed the walls of what is set to be the inauguration stage. They pushed through multiple layers of Capitol Police and security and have breached the actual U.S. Capitol building. They have made their way inside, and from what I understand, only about a doorway is what's keeping them from actually breaching in where Congress would be held. From what we understand, Congress has been evacuated from the situation, and so hasn't Vice President Mike Pence, who was present during the situation. And as the situation has unfolded, what can only be called an utter failure by Capitol Police and security forces to keep the pro-Trump supporters from not only breaching the building, but instilling full-on mayhem, it has basically occurred. So I want to kind of start everything off here with a quote from Mitch McConnell, who was talking about the possibility of going against what was voted through the electoral vote. As of right now, the preliminary stage, the electoral votes are in favor of Biden to give him the presidency, but of course, the Senate and Congress and everybody can come together, and that's what they're kind of deciding here. So I want to play a quote from Mitch McConnell that kind of, I guess, shows his mentality on the entire situation here.
Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
We're debating a step that has never been taken in American history. Whether Congress should overrule the voters and overturn a presidential. I've served 36 years in the Senate. This will be the most important vote I've ever cast. President Trump claims the election was stolen. The assertions range from specific local allegations to constitutional arguments to sweeping conspiracy theories. I supported the president's right to use the legal system. Dozens of lawsuits received hearings in courtrooms all across our country. But over and over, the courts rejected these claims, including all-star judges whom the president himself has nominated. Every election, we know, features some illegality and irregularity, and of course, that's unacceptable. I support strong state-led voting reforms. Last year's bizarre pandemic procedures must not become the new norm. But my colleagues, nothing before us proves illegality anywhere near the massive scale that would have tipped the entire election. Nor can public doubt alone justify a radical break when the doubt itself was incited without any evidence. The Constitution gives us here in Congress a limited role. We cannot simply declare ourselves a national board of elections on steroids. The voters, the courts, and the states have all spoken. They've all spoken. If we overrule them, it would damage our republic forever. This election actually was not unusually close. Just in recent history, 1976, 2000, and 2004 were all closer than this one. The Electoral College margin is almost identical to what it was in 2016. If this election were overturned by mere allegations from the losing side, our democracy would enter a death spiral.
Now, apparently shortly after all this is when mayhem has absolutely ensued. First and foremost, the Capitol building was placed on lockdown. Mike Pence was rushed from the Senate chamber, which has now become a landmark spot of this entire situation. As a matter of fact, news reports are indicating that shots have been fired in or near the Senate chamber. Reports that I saw indicated that shooting was coming from people in self-defense inside of the chamber against people on the outside, most likely pro-Trump supporters. That has yet to be confirmed, but multiple outlets have reported that shots have been fired inside of the Capitol building. As of right now, there's no indication on if or how many people were injured or killed in this situation so far. Although, I could personally say as it turns more and more violent and aggressive, I think the likelihood of someone being hurt is increasing dramatically compared to what it already was when police were clashing with pro-Trump supporters. As you can see by that video clip, the amount of people who are marching on Capitol Hill have basically, it's insurmountable. I mean, that's a lot of people. And I'm not 100% sure how Senate police are really supposed to, I guess, handle this entire situation right here, but Mayor Muriel Bowser of Washington, D.C. ordered a citywide curfew for the District of Columbia from 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, January 6th, until 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, January 7th. The rules of this curfew are as follows. During the hours of the curfew, no person other than persons designated by the mayor shall walk, bike, run, loiter, stand, or motorbike car or other mode of transport upon any street, alley, park, or public place within the District of Columbia. The curfew imposed will not apply to essential workers, including working media with outlet-issued credentials, while engaged in essential functions, including travel to and from their essential work. This situation is escalating very rapidly as the protesters push deeper and deeper into the Capitol building and more clashes with police are being documented. During this time, President Donald Trump tweeted that, quote, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done, and has also encouraged people to, quote unquote, stay peaceful and to respect Capitol Police and other brave first responders. But the situation unfolding shows anything but that, okay? It shows what I would call an utter lack of respect for those in blue, which is quite ironic for this crowd considering that they've been the ones yelling back the blue and Blue Lives Matter this entire time, but they're now clashing with the police. As you can see by this image here, you can see police faced up against pro-Trump supporters. In fact, one of the Trump supporters is carrying what appears to be a Confederate flag on the left, which is quite ironic considering that these people are American patriots, but yet are now flying the flag of a country that seceded from the Union and engaged in a brutal conflict that killed tens of thousands, if not more, Americans, quite literally flying the flag of traitors to the United States. It's almost like walking into a McDonald's with a Whopper wrapper to display your love for the Big Mac. Doesn't really make much sense, I'm gonna have to say. As you can see in this image, there is a cloud of what appears to be some form of gas. It is currently unknown who launched this gas or used this gas. Most likely, from my opinion, police used this to try and subdue and, I guess, de-escalate the situation. As this situation unfolds, it's been pretty clear that this is an absolute fucking disgrace to this country, man. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all for standing up to politicians and protesting and making them actually afraid of the American people. I'm all for actually standing up for what you believe in. I'm all for doing things, what you think is to be the right way. But the fact that people are doing this over what appears to be their belief that President Trump did not lose the election is an absolute disgrace to this country. The fact that we're seeing a situation like this unfold because they believe that the election results were fraudulent is absolutely unnecessary, and it's insane that the American people did not stand up and do something like this while Congress, and in all reality, all of our representatives across the board have stood by idly during a global pandemic and financial crisis, as our government watched as tens of millions of Americans were plunged into poverty or worse living standards than usual, while people could not pay their bills, while people have been subject to police brutality, and brutality at the hands of the state for God knows how long, as people have stood by and watched those, as representatives, constantly get the American people tied up in wars in foreign countries that do absolutely nothing for the average American except cost more taxpayer dollars, and kill their brothers and sisters for blood money. It's insane that the American people did not stand up in this way, as the government has taken our rights from us, as the government has constantly introduced more and more intrusive laws that do nothing but monitor the American people and strip away any privacy rights that they have, as Americans' phones have been wiretapped in the name of quote-unquote fighting terrorism, as their rights have been breached more and more. It's insane that the American people did not stand up and do anything about this until now, and over something so what I would call insane. Americans were dying in the streets, and that wasn't reason enough for us to storm the Capitol. It wasn't reason enough for us to actually do something. But then, when the reality star president lost the election, this is when Americans have finally decided they want to stand up and do something about it. Honestly, I can't personally understand, and I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off by saying this, and honestly, I'm glad. If you're upset by me calling this type of bullshit out and saying that this is ridiculous while other issues have been, remaining largely ignored in this country for decades, if not centuries, then feel free to please be upset, but I'm not going to stand by and pretend that that's not what I think. This is absolutely fucking insane, and as an American, I'm honestly worried for the future of this country because as it stands right now, I've never seen the American people more divided. I think we all agree that the government is absolutely fucking worthless and something needs to be done about it, but the fact that we consistently will mark everything down to party lines and instead of facing the real issues in this country together, which in all reality, both sides should be able to see the real issues in this country because they affect pretty much everyone equally, or they should affect everyone equally is what I really mean to say. The fact that we remain so divided over absolutely ridiculous shit and the fact that the American people have not been able to stand together in solidarity on so many issues is pitiful, and this is a disappointing display. As an American, I'm genuinely embarrassed by this because we are a first world country exploring the concept of a second civil war at this point. God only knows what's going to happen, but all I can say is God bless America because at this time, man, things are getting fucked up. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, stunned to say the least, and signing out.